AI is, of course, something that gets a lot of attention. So far, there has been a bit of lack of clarity from regulators what they really are focusing on and where they would see concerns. What's really important is that a firm should have robust systems and controls around how they develop their trading strategies and then, of course, implement them. We have very extensive and we think fit-for-purpose rules around how our members trade in the market. We don't see any need for change.
What have been the top concerns for the EPTA this past year?
Mark Spanbroek, our long-standing chair and co-founder, left us then, so that it was an opportunity for us to say goodbye to him and thank him for all the good work that he's done for industry. That's why we now have a new chairman. Last year there was also growth for my team, so we hired 2 new policy advisors in work for us from the UK, but cover all of European markets, both in market structure and Prudential. So we have more punching power now at EPTA in the group. And so in terms of things that we had been focusing on, so we saw the finalization of the important reforms of European market regulation. So we were very active in providing input to that and advocating on behalf of our members, for example, around bond market transparency, payment for order flow, the consolidated tape, where we had some good development for our membership. The Prudential piece, so Prudential regulation, is a continuous concern in European markets, and also last year, but also this year, that was a very important priority. And then also working with other trade associations, so the FIA, we focus very much on maintaining competitiveness for European markets and for our members. Specifically, for example, the active accounts proposals in Europe, which ultimately we were able to mostly counter together with a broad coalition of market participants. And also, for example, in the commodity markets, where we saw some proposals that would have been disadvantageous for our members and that also have been mostly landed in a relatively decent space.
How is EPTA engaging with regulators and legislators to address AI concerns?
Market structure and Prudential regulation. In market structure, we're very much focusing this year on the continuation of the bond transparency piece, so both for the EU and the UK, and we cover both jurisdictions. Those rules are being reviewed. In the EU, that means the technical framework, so-called level 2, with which we will be very actively engaging, making sure that the transparency regime is calibrated in such a way that it does support as much as possible competition. Higher level policy development stage. The UK is now looking at those rules as well, so that's clearly very important for us. Another area remains, and ever more so, Prudential regulation. So we expect a review of Prudential regulation for investment firms in Europe and in the EU in the coming year. We've been massively preparing for that. And so that will be a very intensive process. And also we anticipate change, hopefully, in the UK as well, which is really needed to make sure that our members can effectively provide liquidity.
What is the state of crypto trading in Europe?
They have been on the front foot with developing a regulatory regime for crypto trading in a broad sense, so-called MiCAR rules. From the perspective of our members in trading firms, they are all regulated and authorized participants, and also would be able to use those authorizations for the purposes of those new rules. So in the direct sense, there's a limited impact. Obviously, we look very closely at the various rules that have been proposed and still are coming out. Frankly, that's more at a technical level. We're engaging with the various consultations on that. In terms of regulatory impact, we see for this reason relatively limited impact.
How is the EPTA helping members manage geopolitical risk?
We are living in a very volatile and dangerous environment, and being representative of European firms, we're very much exposed to what's happening, especially of course in Ukraine and the war there, which is really a very great concern. what we see in Europe as well is that policymakers recognize the need for stronger defense, and that will require massive investment. So from our perspective, I see it very much linked with the needs to strengthen European capital markets, making sure that capital can be made available for useful investment in Europe, in the European economy, and clearly that should also include defense. So that's also very much our argument to policymakers, that in order to attract or to build a stronger listing environment, secondary markets, liquidity is critical, and obviously our members are very much involved with providing that.
Does the EPTA have a responsibility to be a leader in the trading community?
It's really important for also our industry to be involved in wider industry conversations, and what we've been very much focused on is building out our coalitions with other parts of the industry, buy side, sell side, the exchanges, clearing community, and clearly, of course, evidencing the value that principal trading liquidity provides to end users in the market, but also to be an engaged and responsible participant. And we've also seen firms stepping up with that. They've been putting out a lot of research, a lot of transparent materials about how they operate, how that provides value to the market, and also EPTA as an organization. We've been doing a lot more data-driven research. We had a paper out just a few weeks ago which looked at an outage that happened in one of the European markets not so long ago, which only affected our liquidity providers. And what we saw in the data is that without market makers in the market, spreads widen, costs for the end investor go up. And it's really that conversation that we have with other stakeholders in the market and the policymakers, of course, to make sure that understanding is taken on board.